Controversial figures in the sport, Alex "Hurricane" Higgins. He's due to take part in a qualifying event next week, and the snooker world is holding its breath to see whether the double world champion can give it one more go.
The voice sounded distant, tremulous, and hinted at an urgency behind the slurred words, but for all that was instantly recognisable. It's Alex Higgins here. These are 4 words guaranteed to generate a mild bowel movement in anybody who's mistakenly given the former world snooker champion their telephone number. Higgins keeps a battered handwritten notebook with the names and numbers of such people. Ex-managers, ex-friends, people soon to become ex-friends, people who lend him money, family and emergency contacts. Nobody gives him their number twice, but they don't have to, because if they can help Alex Higgins, who has made a note of it. The book is his lifeline. Listen, Bill, I'm in a bit of a predicament. This is a favourite phrase covering everything from athletes' foot to imminent arrest.
Whether it's with a shiver of trepidation or excitement that you greet the news, the fact is that Alex Higgins is back in the headlines. The recent announcement that Higgins is entering the Benson Hedges Championship in Mansfield coincided with the publication of a biography, The Hurricane by Bill Burroughs, a writer who's been fascinated by the Higgins phenomenon from an early age.
When I was growing up in South Manchester in the early 80s, Alex "Hurricane" Higgins was pretty much a feature of everyday life. You'd see him careering down the street, or you'd see him... Well, he was barred from my father's betting shop twice, and he used to drink in the same pub where I was underage drinking at the time. And he was one of the most famous men in the country at that time, and I was fascinated with him. Oscar Wilde said that all great men have disciples, and the biography is usually written by Judas, but I was never a disciple of Alex Higgins. The only time I ever watched snooker was when he was playing, usually when he was playing Davis. I found the man captivating. He was a fascinating player. He played shots that nobody else could play. And that's basically why I wanted to write the book. You know, I wanted to get at what makes him tick.
Genius, villain, charmer, hooligan. Almost any epithet could have been applied to Higgins during his turbulent life. The Hurricane's unpredictability inevitably meant that Burroughs' authorised biography quickly became an unauthorised work. But as for what makes him tick...
I'm not sure Alex knows what makes him tick, apart from the need to play snooker. In what a lot of people might consider to be his wilderness years, since he disappeared from competition 5 years ago, he has still been playing snooker. You know, a lot of people wanted to write him off, and there were reports of him being in a homeless person's hostel, which he was for a bit. But fundamentally, he was still hustling for £10 and £5. And a lot of people thought that was sad in a way. But even when he was world champion, he was still hustling for £5 and £10.
It's universally agreed that the Hurricane was put on this planet to play snooker. Equally, there are many who say that the only people who like Alex Higgins are those who've never met the man. Most of today's players, however, acknowledge their debt to the Hurricane and welcome him back with open arms.
In my opinion, Higgins made snooker. He was the one that turned me to playing snooker, you know, from playing it to thinking, you know, what can this guy do? He's just amazing, you know, to watching him in exhibitions, then playing him again. My problem with Alex is, well, I used to enjoy a drink, and so did he, and we used to sort of get lost a bit, but when he was in his heyday, he was the one who filled the place, like I filled the place, and Ronnie filled the place, and he done it for about 15 years. So I can't really see him winning in Mansfield, but I know he's playing every day, and I know he's trying, and he wants to get back into the game, and I think he should get the wild card for Wembley. That's just my personal opinion.
He definitely draws the crowd in. He definitely has you on the edge of the seat, and he's a character, and deep down he's got a good heart. I know his calls, you know, he's been in a few things, but so have I. So, you know, it doesn't make him a bad person. I just think he's a little bit misunderstood sometimes. And when Alex was putting bums on seats, you know, he was getting away with things like that. They turned a blind eye to it, but as soon as he wasn't getting on the telly, they wanted to kick him while he was down. For me, I don't think that's right. I think the game owes a lot to Alex, and there should be a benevolent fund for him some of the players that have never been on TV benefit from the benevolent fund, and yet Alex, he just gets left out in the cold. Maybe, we should get together and make sure that he's got a few quid in his pocket, because if without him and Jimmy White and Steve Davis and Hendry, the game wouldn't be where it is. If it had to rely on some of the dull people that are in snooker, then I wouldn't have been getting 25 grand for 147 today. I've been getting probably a can of Coke or something. So, Alex has got my backing all the way, and I wish him all the best.
Well, credit to him. Some people have been giving him stick, but I think, he's not going to win the match, but it shows great courage. I mean, he's obviously, down and out just now, but to actually come back and want to play in a tournament, I say all credit to the man.
Not everyone in the game is of the same mind.
He missed shots and they all thought it was great and used to walk in wearing a fedora hat. I mean, if I had a few vodkas in me, I would probably walk in wearing a lot less. So, it's a shame, because the game we've got just now is brilliant. The amount of class players we've got, the standard we're producing is brilliant. And the only thing papers I want to write about is like now Alex Higgins coming back into the game.
Whatever your opinion about his return to the table, off it, his battle with cancer has united people in support for Higgins. And it's now his fighting spirit rather than his snooker genius that serves as an inspiration.
I think the most important thing to remember with regard to Alex Higgins is that he's beaten cancer and he's on the way back. So, I applaud that. I mean, the guy's got a lot of guts, he's got a lot of character. And if he wants to play snooker game, good luck to him. But he's just probably won the most important battle that he'll ever face. And that's included all the great matches that he's ever played, in his career. So, I'll say to Alex, good luck and well done. And if you want to go for it, go for it.
I think the most inspiring thing about Alex Higgins, and one of the reasons why I wanted to write this book, is that it's a man who will never be beaten. A man who, no matter how many times you put him on the canvas, he still gets up. He's beaten throat cancer, which has got a 50-50 survival rate. And a lot of people have said, oh, he'll die, he's gone. They said he wouldn't make 30, they said he wouldn't make 40, they said he wouldn't make 50, but he's 53. And you wouldn't bet against him eating 60 or 70, to be honest.
The intoxicating, neurotic wizardry of vintage Higgins will never be seen again. Far too often, for anyone's liking, he made the headlines for all of the wrong reasons. But much he did just can't be forgiven. But forgotten? Never.
He was up there with George Best. Basically, he transcends the sport. He transcends sport itself, really. Alex Higgins is like a cipher. He's an outlaw, like a Ned Kelly figure. There are more stories about Higgins than anybody else. I mean, it's taken me a year to write, and I dare say I could have doubled the length of the book and still not got all the stories in. Some of them are apocryphal, but the man's a legend, so he tends to attract stories. But everybody knows where they were when Higgins won in '82 and he started playing. That was a moment. That was one of the great television moments of all time.
Yes, the hurricane is blowing back into town. Now, Steve, I know that you and he were not the best of buddies. That's well documented. But what's your opinion? Is it a positive development for Alex and the sport, or is it a backward step?
Well, it's certainly not a backward step. I mean, snooker, as they say, is starved of characters. And even if they're not starved of characters, Alex Higgins is the most fascinating sportsman or woman on this planet. I can assure you that he is just a dream to analyse from a psychological point of view. And he is the only player to have ever won the Embassy World Championship in different decades. He is the genius of the game, and he's kept, as Peter Evans says, he's recovered from ill health, and I think he should view it the same way as possibly myself now. He may not be able to make a full comeback into the game, but why not have a game of snooker? Why not enter a couple of tournaments, see how he gets on and enjoy himself? If he loves playing snooker as much as we all know he does, because he used to love it with a passion, still does, why can't he enter the tournaments he's allowed to enter?
But opinion is completely polarised. On the one hand, you've got John Higgins castigating him, but on the other, you've got Jimmy White saying, give him a wild card for the Masters.
Well, I think John Higgins was making the point that actually, there's more attention on Alex Higgins than the current players, but no ill feelings towards Alex as a person. But obviously, making it a wild card, which is a good idea from Jimmy's point of view,
it would be fascinating to see the B&H Masters is in its final year of sponsorship, whether they do decide to bring back a few of the old faces. It would be a bit of an advertising coup in a way, but of course it would upset some of the current players who would have to drop out because of that. But, well, you'd certainly, for one round at least, fill the place out.